LG, it's great to see you again. And I thought of your very wise words at the end of the Jets game when Marcus Jones returned the punt for the touchdown, the first punt return for a touchdown of the year. I was reminded again of your words, and I'm going to paraphrase here. It's the Jets. Something always seems to happen to the Jets when they play New England. Have you ever seen a more exciting finish to a game that appeared incredibly underwhelming for the first, 58 minutes?
I have, that's probably the most exciting finish for an NFL game in a long time. I mean, you got these college games where you got the return. Ole Miss had to return against Alabama, and all these crazy things that happen in college football, but you rarely see it in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the exciting aspect of the game that the NFL sometimes is missing. I know it's because everybody on the field is the best of the best. But it's always nice to have those moments, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So that punt return by Marcus, man, hey, good going, kid. Good job, bro. And somebody was gonna have to live in that moment because again, the Jets hadn't done anything Jet-like all game. They played a solid game. So you know what I'm saying? So it had to be something. It just had to be, it had to happen.
It's new guys, and it's a relatively new coaching staff. But
right.
I have to wonder if there's something there when you talk about 14 games in a row now, the Patriots have beaten the Jets, and not all of them have been that dramatic, granted, but can you get into the mindset of one of those New York players where here we go again? The Patriots are, it just seems to be the kind of thing where it doesn't matter the coach. It doesn't matter the play. None of that matters. It's just the Patriots have this hold over the Jets that we can't seem to explain.
Right. You ever heard the expression when a team has your number?
Mm-hmm.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
oh, LG, every time you play against this team, you only get 30 yards. Every time you play against this team, you only get 25 yards. Because no matter what the game plan is, that specific team, whatever their game plan is or whatever their scheme is, they got your number.
Mm-hmm.
You
would have
can
thought
run
though that
all the different, huh?
you would have thought though at some point that even the strangest stuff
Changes.
happens. Yeah, things would have changed. There would have been a bad bounce. There would have been a bad call. Something would have happened sometime over the last 5, 6, 7 years. The Jets would have gotten
but
one.
it happens in our favor.
Yeah, yeah. It is. It's strange. It's just strange to me. And look, I know that we can sit and clown on the Jets. That's a pretty good Jets team. And what they did to them defensively,
it is a solid Jets team,
slowing them down. And look, I think a lot of it is on the quarterback. I don't think Wilson is quite ready for prime time, and I wonder if he's ever going to be ready for prime time. But when you look at that Jets offense, the numbers that they put up going into that game, what the New England defense did was pretty impressive on Sunday.
Yeah. So the Jets do have a solid team. They have a really solid team. The running back, Breece Hall.
Breece Hall.
Nice. He was nice for him. You know what I'm saying? Garrett Wilson, nice. Conklin, the tight end, nice. They got some weapons over there. They're not the Jets of years past where they're gonna suck because they got all these weak, sucky players, and they have a quarterback that is either super trash or washed up or whatever. And I just think that Zach Wilson isn't the guy. I don't think that he's an NFL ready quarterback. Some guys play their best football in college. We just gotta understand that some guys play their best football in college, and I think that's where Zach Wilson played his best football. Do I think he's the worst quarterback in the NFL? I don't know. I doubt it. I mean, there might be some guys on the practice squad that are worse, whatever, but he's definitely in the bottom tier of those quarterbacks, and he is he's athletic. He's I'm not gonna say he's like Kyler Murray, but he's in that, you put him in that, you put him, he's not a big kid, he's not tall, he's not, and he's kind of athletic, so you put him in that realm, and I don't think he's as smart and as good. I think the Jets need to go get another quarterback. I know it sucks that you wasted the first round pick on this guy, but you got to get another quarterback. You got to get another quarterback. Running around and all that stuff and taking all those extra hits and things like that. Like he's not going to last long. You know, you got your guys that if they are running, if they're doing stuff like that, running around and doing all these things, they're a lot faster than he is. They're a lot more agile than he is. They can throw the ball better than he can. So ultimately for the Jets, you got to go get another quarterback. I know that you guys haven't lost but 4 games or whatever, but Zach Wilson the answer.
Mm-hmm. It is going to be interesting to see how the Jets respond too, because they appear to be at the crossroads of their season here. If they respond well to a quarterback change, I think they still have enough talent on both sides of the ball to make things competitive down the stretch. And look, if you're a Jets fan, based on what they've done over the last 10 years or so, all you want to do is play competitive games in December. And I think they have a shot at doing that.
Right.
Maybe if they kind of shake things up a little bit with a move at quarterback. I want to move to what the Patriots showed in that game. And we talked a little bit about it before we came on here. Is defense and special teams sustainable enough for this team? Because the offense right now, there are an awful lot of questions around the offense. And maybe it starts with the offensive line. Maybe some of that's the quarterback. But can they get over playing the way they're playing defensively and getting the contributions on special teams? It looks like it's going to be good, but when you talk about facing a team like Buffalo, when you talk about going back and facing the Dolphins, when you talk about, they have Minnesota this week on a short week, I don't know if that's sustainable long-term.
So when you have all 3 phases of the game working in unison, it can be sustainable. It can, because some games you're going to have the defense that's probably going to give up 24. Sometimes the offense probably ain't going to be able to score 22 points. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It works in unison, mm-hmm. So everybody got to step up and do their part of the job. It works in unison, and that's what Bill teaches. That's what he preaches. We got to win all 3 phases of the game and not beat ourselves. If we could not beat ourselves, that gives us an extra advantage. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to it, Bill's a numbers guy. So 90% chance you win if you get a kick return or punt return. We're gonna try to get that. 90% chance you win if you win the turnover battle. We're gonna try to get that. Mm-hmm. That's where the defense plays a part at. 80% chance win if you rush for 100 or more yards. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Bill plays all those things are a factor in Bill's decision-making process. And again, I know it's some people that don't like him, but it is what it is. You got to give Bill his flowers, bro. He's the best. I don't care what no one says. He's the best. Like, they're 6-4 right now, and everybody was talking all kind of shit about them not being good, about Tom Brady being gone. Well, Brady been gone for what, 3 years now? Mm-hmm. 2 years, 3 years? He's been gone. They've been fine. They're going to the playoffs. What is the hate at for Bill? Mm-hmm. What more? You know what I'm saying? What more? You know what I'm saying? He's always going to figure out a way. He's always going to figure out a way. So for my answer to that question is yes, it is sustainable. Now, I don't know about the level of play because the defense is probably the number 1 defense in the league right now.
It is right now, yeah. By a couple of different metrics, yeah.
Yeah. So do I think it's sustainable? I've seen them sustain that kind of play all year.
It feels like we're at a point with this team where if they get 21 points, they're in good shape. With this defense playing as well as they are, and with the special teams doing well as they are.
Yeah, and you got to understand, I know they're still slowly finding still, you know what I'm saying? I know it's week 11, but Mac, I'm gonna give Mac his praise, man. He played good ball last week. He played good ball. He proved me wrong. So I do like Bailey a lot, but shit, maybe after Mac has played, strung 2 or 3 of them together, maybe he is your guy. I like him. Maybe he is your guy. You draft him in the first round for a reason. So I think it's sustainable. I think that the offense, the O-line has to pick up in the run game. They have to. Mm-hmm. If we're going to make a deep run, it's going to get cold. It's going to be freezing in New England when you play these home games moving forward. Thanksgiving is Thursday. You guys know what it is after that. You know what it is after that. Anybody that wanted to deny it or say that, oh man, why everybody say after Thanksgiving that the proof is in the freaking pudding. It's in the pudding. While I was there, while they're there now, when Brady was there, after December or after Thanksgiving is when New England played their best football. And you can see it happening. We're watching it slowly transition into them because they're not, a lot of teams are getting worse.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen some teams start out 3 or 4-0, then lost 2 or 3 in the games in a row. These guys are getting better, 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 better. You know what I'm saying? And they haven't plateaued. They still climbing offensively, defensively, and special teams wise. They're going to be a problem in the AFC. They really will. More so than what people think.
I want to ask you 2 questions. I'm glad you bring up the offensive line. First of all, how do you fix that at this point, other than shuffling guys around and bringing new guys in? I think some of it maybe starts with scheming things up. Short passes, intermediate passes. You're not going to take a lot of shots downfield. You run a lot of max protect. And then the second thing is when you talk about the offensive line and the run game, I'm curious, did you ever run behind an offensive line in New England or elsewhere that you didn't have faith in?
Ooh. Man, I'm gonna be real with you. I don't think so. Even when I was in Detroit, Decker, Ragnow, Frank, all these. Even when I was in Detroit, I like these guys. Like I had confidence in these guys. The Steelers O line, man, those guys were probably second to none when I was there. They were beasts.
Mm-hmm.
Even in with the Buccaneers, even when I was with the Bucks O line, there was, we had Donald Penn, Jeremy Zuta. We had some dogs and True Blood. We had some really good guys on that team. I haven't run behind the offensive line that I wasn't really confident with. I haven't. I've been pretty confident with all of them because these are. I'm looking at these guys and these are pretty top tier guys that I've been running behind my whole career. So I show love and I give them their flowers. There's some guys and some diamonds in the rough in there that people don't show love to because they aren't the Donald Penns or they're not the Lane Johnsons or the Nate Solders. These are like the hidden heroes.
Mm-hmm.
That make these plays go, break the big runs behind some of these guys. They don't get the love, but yeah, I haven't been behind the offensive line that I didn't have. I've been around the O-line where I was more confident that they were going to make the plays than this line, but never to the point to where I'm like, man, damn, bro, I'm back here now. I know I got to freestyle as soon as I get the ball.
Yeah. So if you're Bill Belichick, Joe Judge, Matt Patricia, how do you fix that? The troubles along the offensive line this year. Do you call more short passes? Do you call more play action? What's the approach that they should use moving forward to try and keep as much pressure off Mac as possible?
You gotta use your passes as runs.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta throw screens. You gotta, I don't know, me and my offense and the offense that I run with my kids. Look, if it's a corner because we done beat these guys deep 3 or 4 times in a row. If this corner is 10 yards off, we rope smoking.
Mm-hmm.
Rope smoke. My receiver just gonna take 1 step up, look, throw the ball to him, get upfield. That's a run. I don't care if you get 4 yards, 3 yards, 12 yards, 7 yards. That's a run. That's just like handing the ball off and getting 5 yards. That's a run. And they got catch and run guys. Bourne a catch and run guy. Jacoby a catch and run guy, even though he's not that fast. You got Damian can catch the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Stevenson
can catch. Stevenson really well. Yeah,
really well. You know what I'm saying? So maybe you substitute some of those runs that aren't working. Maybe you substitute for them for short pass, bubble. You got to get more creative in this offense instead of it just being so traditional. And that's one thing about the Patriots that I can say can be a flaw because the game is changing so much in front of our face and they're so old school with it. Hey, run the ball on first, run it on second, throw it on third. If it's 6 or 7 yards. If it's 3rd and 2, run it again on first, run it again on second. It's so traditional, but you got to add your wrinkles, and that's what makes it different. You know what I'm saying? That's what makes your offense continue to make defenses stay honest. Add your wrinkles, add your emotion into a speed sweeper, add your emotion, fake the run, throw the bubble, or just things like that can contribute to the offensive success, open it up a little bit more in the run game. Just things like that to keep defenses on their toes and coordinators on their toes and thinking about stuff.
It felt like Josh was really good at that.
He was. Josh is amazing at that. He's even in Vegas, he's doing a good job. Carr sucks. He does. I genuinely, and I don't have no personal problem with him, but as my professional opinion to his gameplay, he sucks. And I know that Devontae wanted to go there and play with him. That's cool. That's your college quarterback. Y'all got that chemistry. But don't go over there and say, oh, I'm leaving one Hall of Famer for another. Right? Because this Hall of Famer, Aaron Rodgers, is what, 3-7 right now? 4-7 or something like that. He's still top 5 in the NFL in passing.
They think he's got a thumb injury. They think Rodgers has a thumb injury, like a broken thumb or something that they're not talking about. So,
but he's still doing his thing. He's still doing the same thing. He's been Aaron Rodgers. He's just not winning the games.
So is Josh bringing someone in this offseason then to replace Carr?
Yeah, he has to. He has to. Either he's gonna light a fire up on the Derek Carr ass, or he gonna sit on the bench. But you got to bring in another guy. You got to bring in another guy. The quarterback, listen, all these quarterbacks now, the Derek Carr, the Zach Wilson, the Baker Mayfields, these guys aren't gonna. They're just not gonna. You're not gonna win a championship with any of them. You're not. If any of these guys go to a press conference and say, "Hey, Zach Wilson, that's our guy. Derek Carr, that's our guy. Yada Baker, that's our guy." You're saying that with confidence that this guy can take you to a championship. That's the only reason that you're putting him in there as the head coach, right? You trust in his ability to take y'all to that place. Now, in all honesty, how many of those guys are going to take you to where Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers and Roethlisberger and Manning, how many of those guys are going to take you to where those guys took you at?
I think they might, but they need an awful lot around them. They need more around them than they've been given. And I'm not putting Baker or Carr or anyone in that category, but it's just, it seems like it's a convergence of events for good quarterbacks. You have great quarterbacks. You have guys like Tom, and you have guys like Aaron Rodgers, but also at the same time, you have front offices and you have coaching staffs that put them in the best possible position to win. And in those cases, the guys that you're mentioning right now, they're not in a position to win at all. Even though Carr and the Raiders went to the playoffs last year, that's great, but they're not capable of taking that next step.
Right. Okay. So let's say this: Baker had Odell Beckham, David Njoku, Jarvis Landry, Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb,
and still,
Jordan Poyer on defense at the time, I think. Two Myles Garrett. I think Jabril Peppers maybe. If that ain't as solid of a squad as you can possibly get to make a run, what are we doing? You know?
No, that's a fair point. It's a completely fair point. And I think this kind of leads into my next question here. I think a lot of it is about confidence and getting confidence as a young quarterback and getting your legs underneath you. And I think another thing when you're talking about confidence, you return kicks for a while in New England. And I was struck by something that Bill was saying and something that Marcus Jones was saying after the game, that a lot of the job as a returner, you got to be confident, not only in your own abilities, but in your teammates, your guys around you. What are some other things in your experience as a returner that are most important when it comes to getting the ball, seeing the field, making the first guy miss, and hopefully breaking one?
I would say I'm a piggyback what Bill said and what Marcus said. You gotta have confidence. You cannot go back there, and this is where bad stuff happens. Is when you go back there, you're nervous. You don't have confidence in the catch. You don't have confidence in what they're going. If they're going to block it right. You don't know what the blocking scheme is. All those things play a factor. You know what I'm saying? And now you're back there. They kick the ball. You thinking about all that. Boom, you drop it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got to practice it. It reps is huge. During the week, if you're going to be a returner, you might have to stay after practice and catch some kicks. You might have to, and whenever it's defensive period and you're an offensive guy and you're not doing anything and it's, scout team guys, you might have to step over on the other side of the field and catch some kicks. That's a huge part of it. And knowing the blocking scheme. You got to know if it's return left, return right. A lot of guys get their like some fluke returns because they go opposite of as a kickoff guy, mm-hmm. You're running down there, you see all these guys running to this side. You're going to migrate, stay in your lane, but you're going to run to that side, mm-hmm. And then, you got guys that are going to probably take 3 or 4 steps and they trust their ability and their speed, go this way, and then they turn back around and revert, and now you got the crazy kick returns and stuff like that. But this kid, Marcus, he stuck to the script. I could tell that he ran the right return. Mm-hmm. Because the seam was there when he hit it. The seam was right there when he hit. And when he got up the sideline, it was basically like a wall. So he ran the right return. So you got to have that trust. You got to have confidence, a lot of repetition. And, man, whenever you get in that open field, you can't be the guy that blow it. You can't be the guy that blow it. You can't let the punter tackle you. You can't let the kicker tackle you. I did that. I had a return against the Buffalo Bills. I thought I was gone. I thought I was gone. And I got down the sideline, and the kicker, and I know this because I've watched so many kick returns. They never try to tackle you. They never try to tackle you. They don't run at you with the intention of making a tackle. Mm-hmm. They just run past you so that you can either stop your feet or cut back cross field. And sometimes when you get in that open field, you just don't realize that you're just like, oh, snap, he's going to try to come tackle me. Cut back across, get tackled from behind. Damn, there go your touchdown. He didn't do that. He didn't do that, man. Marcus, hey, good shit, bro. Way to step up for the team, dog. That's what I'm talking about. Let's go.
Who's the best you ever saw do it? And was there a guy who didn't have, he didn't have to, I don't want to say he didn't have to study because everyone has to study and take reps, but was there ever a guy you saw who it just came naturally, like it was part of his DNA to return kicks? The guy who comes to mind for me is Cordero Patterson, who I watched when he was here in New England. He just knew. You just knew he could get, you quality yardage right out of the gate. Was there a guy that you saw who it just all worked for him?
Dion.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, you know what?
Dion was different, bro. And I, I don't know how often Dion went to these special teams meetings, all right? I don't know how often he went to these meetings, but I do know that whenever the time came for him to play in the game and get the punts or the kicks or whatever, he knew the return. Mm-hmm. And that the return he had against the Texans was, I think that was freestyling. I don't know if that was a return. He might have got to the return later on, but I think that was more so freestyling, just speed, and he looked like a kid in the. When I see it, every time I look at it, he just looked like this little kid running. He just don't ever look like a grown man. He always look like a kid running out there around a bunch of grown men, and he's just faster.
He's a Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Famer. Yeah. It's just there's stories, depending on who you believe, there were stories about him, again, like you said, not going to meetings and just saying, all right, you know what, as a cornerback, I'll take this side of the field. You take that side of the field. We're good. Right. It's just what Ty Law call it, cat coverage. I got that cat, you got that cat, we're good. But yeah, Dion is probably, the guy who comes to mind. I mean, around here, we've been blessed, honestly, to see guys like Troy Brown and Jules, right? And, but Dion
Jules is another one. Yeah, but Jules, I don't know. I know some special teams meetings. I didn't go to a lot of them. Even when I had the kick return that I had against the Buffalo Bills, I didn't go to special teams meeting that week. at all, not one of them. But I got the picture. You know what I'm saying? Hey, LG, look at your iPad, look at the returns, look at what they do, da da da. Boom. Um, I don't know how often Jules go to these, but Jules is another guy that is special in the return game.
Mm-hmm.
Special. He's really special. Punt returns. He don't and one thing that I like about Jules and what I noticed is you don't have to be the fastest to be a good returner. You don't have to be the fastest. Mm-hmm. Being fast does give you the touchdowns, but I mean, shit, a 30-yard return, getting good field position, that's a great return. You know, so Jules is another one of those guys that's a really, really good returner. You better start spending all his money on MGM bets too, man. All that money you keep on losing on MGM bets, man. You better stop that shit.
He's got a bet with you, right, over on Nesson, right?
Come on, man. Come to Nesson, bro. Bet with me, bro. I just had a clean sweep 2 weeks ago, 3-0. Should have put that thing in a parlay.
The Edelman thing, I always think of what Bill says, and I know Troy has said this before, so much of it is about making that first guy miss.
Yes. A lot of it is about making it, because there's always going to be one unblocked. Mm-hmm. So if they don't, even if it might be the outside, it might be the gunner. You know, the gunner get downfield, we can't get a hand on him. Obviously, the boy's not going to block him in the back. You got to make him miss. And it's 2 gunners, so if they both get there and you split them, man, you got numbers, and you cooking at this point. Mm-hmm. You know, obviously these gunners are at that position for a reason, because they're fast. They probably can make the tackle 9 times out of 10. But if you make that first guy miss on any kind of punt return or any kind of return as it is on special teams, if you make that first guy miss, now it gets real. You know, mm-hmm. now it turns into, I might be able to make something out of this.
All right, short week, Thursday, Thanksgiving.
I had to make somebody miss.
You did? Was it the return against Buffalo?
So I had 2 returns in Buffalo.
Okay.
Yeah, I this one guy went to tackle me, and I did like some kind of spin and got up out of it. Hogan will tell you about this. I got up out of it, and I went to start running full speed again, and there was Hogan right there. He caught me. But Hogan had Hogan, my guy, but he had a long day that day, because when I broke the first kick return down the sideline, he was the one guy that I had to make miss. He was that one guy. And I hit him with like a little stutter step. The same thing I did to Duran and Harmon in the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. That's my go-to. I hit him like a little stutter step, like I'm finna stop or slow down. And he kind of stuttered his feet. They underestimate the big guy's speed. I got you there. I hit him with the doo-doo. He stuttered his feet. I bend the corner on him.
That's awesome. I love that. Tell me, okay, we got the short week this week. Thanksgiving against the Vikings. Tell me some of the unique challenges of not only playing on a short week, but on Thanksgiving week.
One of the challenges is you're playing against a team that just came off an L. Right? They just lost their second game of the season. And they're playing against a team that's hot right now. Mm-hmm. New England, the wins don't look pretty. All of them don't look pretty. But when you're a hot team, it don't matter if they're pretty or not. A win is a win. You know, whether it's 4-3, 2 safeties, and a field, whatever. You know, but you're playing against a team that's coming in that always is always known for playing their best football starting on Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. So as the Vikings, you got to come in there knowing that it's going to be a dogfight. Yeah, they've lost a couple more games than you guys, but it's going to be a dogfight. They're going to go out there, they're going to hit you in the mouth. They're going to run the football, hit you in the mouth again, stop the run, hit you in the mouth again, and you just got to and you got to be ready for that. You got to be ready for that, because in Minnesota, you're playing in a dome. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Over here, you playing in that snow, or you playing in that freezing cold.
It's the difference between it's like being a house cat as opposed to an outside cat. You know, dealing with the elements. It's going to be a challenge. It would have been it would have been a challenge if you were outside, but you're inside this time. Yeah, it's going to be a little different.
It's gonna be a little different. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be a little different. So that's the difference. You look at it that way. New England don't got to deal with the elements either. Now, it's an even playing field. They don't got to deal with the cold. They don't got to deal with any of that. We inside, we playing ball. You know, we're comfortable in this element. You know, we're comfortable in this element. We're used to playing in the uncomfortable element, freezing, fingers hurt, ball hard as a rock. But now this normal for us. We can go in here and play whatever game we want to play. We ain't got to worry about none of the elements. We inside. It's controlled. You know what I'm saying? Now we line up and it's mano a mano. Kind of drop your nuts and play ball.
I will say this. Spending the week in Minnesota for Super Bowl 52 was the coldest week of my life. I know the game's inside. It's different, man, but it's so cold up there. I can't even tell you. It was so cold.
There was no stepping. So my mom, like, you know, she'd do some, my mom, you know, the wifey, they walk. Whenever we go to the Super Bowl, they do is walk around, go see this, take the kids here, go see that, go do that. And they was inside the whole time. The only thing they did was go to Mall of America, which was the place that we stayed in, and they got like roller coasters. They had concerts going, the whole nine. So we didn't have to experience that outside much, but I mean, obviously, with us going outside and, you know, going to eat, you know, it was a mall across the street, so we walked to it and stuff like that. It was definitely beyond. It was colder than anything I've ever felt before.
It's horrible. Look, I grew up in New England. I know cold, and I thought I knew cold, and I was like, oh, I'm not going to be affected by the Minnesota cold. You step outside, and it's just different. It's just different. It hits you differently
to the bone.
Yeah, it does. And I'm just, part of me is just, you know what? Glad you're inside as opposed to playing outside, which would be just off the charts. After Thanksgiving would be incredibly cold. Who you got this week? Tell me who you got and why.
I got the Patriots. I think that was a great win against the Jets. Rather, you know, whatever you want to call it, it is the Jets. But I think that was a good win, man. You leave off of a win like that with a lot of confidence. A lot of joy, a lot of spirit. It brings everybody's intensity level up a notch. So you're going into a game against a team that is considered one of the best teams in the NFL. We're looking at that as a challenge. Okay, y'all one of the best teams in the NFL. Well, let us bust y'all ass and see if people call us one of the best teams in the NFL now. You know, so I'm expecting them to go out there with a lot of confidence. I'm expecting them to go out there hard-nosed, hit them in the mouth, play New England Patriots football, run the rock, Ramondre. Give it to him. I don't care if you have 20 carries for 25 yards. That 21st carry might be a 50-yard run. Give it to him. Feed the beast. Let him tote. Whenever he get tired, let Damian tote. But run the ball. I'm here to tell you guys, Minnesota, they're a good team. They're known for not being able to stop the run. They can't. I don't know if it's the scheme. I don't know if it's the players, whatever. I've always enjoyed playing against Minnesota. No matter what team I was on, I've always enjoyed playing against them because I know I'm gonna break a 20 or 30-yard run against them every time. So New England, run the football. That's the key. Run the football, protect Mac, because they do got Everson and they do got Daniil on the ends, the two of the best pass rushers in the NFL. So gotta protect Mac, and defense, do y'all thing. If we stop Justin Jefferson, we got a good chance. Because our team, we stopped the run. We stopped the run really well right now. They're playing really good against the run right now. If we can rush the quarterback and get around his legs, get around Kirk Cousins' legs, any kind of pressure, lock Justin Jefferson up, we're going home with the win.
And take the under. That's the sound of things. Take the under this week.
Take the under. It will not be a high-scoring game.
It will not be a high-scoring game. LG, this has been great, man. I think I'm leaning in your direction. I think I'm going to kind of hold off on my prediction another day or two, but I think you're pretty much spot on here. If you run the ball, you play good defense, you should be able to come out of this thing with a win. Thank you so much for your time, my friend. Take care. Have a great Thanksgiving, and we'll talk again soon.
I appreciate it, Chris, man. Have a great Thanksgiving, man. Always a pleasure.